Jeffrey Dahmer, Dennis Nilsen, Stephen Port, Mark Latunski, John Wayne Gacy, and now 19-year-old Jack Crawley from Carlisle, North England, another man to add to our roll call of sick-minded men who hook up with other men to murder them. We're not complaining about homosexuality, mind. Who gives a shit about that? Anyway, like his fucked up predecessors Stephen Port and Mark Latunski, Crawley, or Creepy-Crawley as at least one person used to call him, targeted his victims through a well-known dating app. Born in either 2003 or 2004, Crawley grew up in Carlisle, which sits on the border between England and Scotland. Crawley claimed that his descent into crime began at the age of 13 when he allegedly embarked on his career as a drug dealer. By 15, he was £5 in debt and claimed that he was being coerced and controlled by gangs into committing theft and other crimes. But those who knew Crawley knew the truth. The youth was a compulsive liar. What is true, notwithstanding, is the physical abuse that was perpetrated on Crawley as a child by his father, the boy's parents splitting up when Crawley was 12. Another truth is Crawley's fanaticism for serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer, who murdered and dismembered as many as 17 boys and young men, all hookups of his, in the 70s and 80s in Milwaukee, USA, being his #1 idol. After Crawley was sent down, a former neighbour of his reported that they always called him Creepy-Crawley, in secret that is, and that he used to do so many weird things, like walking around with his hood up on scorching hot summer days. If you're enjoying the video so far, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment when you're ready, and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. By the age of 19, Crawley had grown into an imposing 6 foot 3 inches of height and was working as a security guard at Carlisle's Cumberland Infirmary. He also dealt weed on the side and often posted selfies on social media with wads of cash, neither of which might being particularly worrying, I'd say. Another man who worked at Cumberland Infirmary was 56-year-old Paul Taylor. A catering manager and Afghanistan Army veteran, Paul was a devoted husband and father of 2. He was also gay, or at least bisexual, and whether it was through their common workplace or through the gay dating app Grindr, Mr. Taylor and Crawley started hooking up for sexual encounters on a regular basis. So, once again, driving his blue Vauxhall Corsa, on the 18th of October 2023, Mr. Taylor picked up his young hookup and then, under the suggestion of that hookup, he drove to a secluded area of woodland to have sex with his hookup. When they got there, his hookup bludgeoned him to death with a hammer without giving him any chance to either defend himself or escape. Once Crawley was certain that Mr. Taylor was dead, he dragged the man's body to the boot of the man's own car. From there, Crawley drove to a remote and desolate location that he was familiar with and tried to burn Mr. Taylor's body. He later claimed that the smell of the burning body made him vomit and faint several times, causing him to give up burning the body and bury what was left of it in a shallow grave. Crawley then wiped the car down, trying to get rid of as much of Mr. Taylor's blood as he could. He didn't want to spook his friend Marcus Goodfellow, after all, who was coming the following day to help Crawley deliver the car to the person who had agreed to buy it for £2,000. Obviously, that was something pre-planned.
This murder was carried out by you with an intention to kill, as the jury found by their verdict, when you used brutal and exceptionally severe violence. It was a murder for gain because you wanted to steal his car, and afterwards, with callous cruelty for the family and friends of the man you murdered, you took the body away and set fire to it before it was hidden.
The blood had to be completely cleaned away in order not to spook Marcus Goodfellow. The thing is though, when he and Marcus were on the way to the buyer the following day, they crashed. Then, on the 26th of October, or very soon after then, Crawley got nicked, and yet, shockingly, a few days later, even though police found DNA from Mr. Taylor on some of Crawley's possessions, police let Crawley go. They could prove that Crawley knew Mr. Taylor and that he had seen his older hookup shortly before the man's disappearance, but this wasn't enough to charge Crawley, since, for all the police knew at this point, Mr. Taylor may well still have been alive. As you can now see, they hadn't yet found Mr. Taylor's body. However, they imposed some strict conditions on Crawley's bail, because you see, the young man was by no means completely off the hook. Staying at his grandparents' house in Carlisle and reporting into the police station at regular intervals were the 2 most important rules that Crawley had to follow. On the 4th of January 2024, Crawley, having arranged a hookup through Grindr with another middle-aged man, went to Tool Station to buy a hammer to kill his hookup. Not going to hardware shops and not buying any lethal DIY tools weren't conditions of Crawley's bail. Only the tool station where he went shopping was in York. Yeah, guy didn't care about breaking bail. All he wanted to do was kill again. The wig that he wore as a disguise made him look like Hagrid from Harry Potter, some people said, while the fake European accent that he assumed, again to disguise his identity, was innovative, you might say. Anyway, after later attacking his hookup with a hammer, having travelled with his hookup to a secluded area of York for their sexual liaison and for Crawley to take the man's life, Crawley fled the scene barefoot and subsequently committed a burglary at a nearby home, stealing clothing, a backpack and a phone charger. When Crawley's second arrest took place, which was on the 2nd of February 2024, Crawley was in possession of a knife, in possession of a quantity of weed, and all the way down in Bath.
Jack Crawley, isn't it? Yep. So at this minute in time, as a result of police inquiries, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder of Paul Taylor, aged 56, contrary to common law. So you do not have to say anything, but in my own defence, if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court, anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand what I've just said to you? Do you have any reply to that? No. Thank you.
This time Crawley was arrested for murder, and he found it all so fucking funny. Just look at him mucking about while he's being charged, getting involved with whatever commotion is taking place a few feet away from him, acting like he hasn't got a care in the world. Ha! It's all a show. He doesn't want to be banged up, and absolutely everyone in the nick knows it. He's just not going to let it show. He wants to create the impression of being in a position of both confidence and control. On the 1st of May 2024, Crawley finally stopped denying the murder of Mr. Taylor and disclosed the body's location to the police. No idea why he chose to do that at that point, but thank frig he did, because it made the investigation and the charging a lot easier. Mr. Taylor's was in fact the one murder charge that the police brought against Crawley. You see, despite the many hammer blows that Crawley had rained down on the head of his York hookup during their countryside liaison, the man had miraculously and thankfully been able to wrestle the hammer away from Crawley and then run him off. Yay! The 15 years that Crawley got for that attempted murder is running concurrently with the 37-year life sentence that he got in October 2024 for Mr. Taylor's murder. And the lies that he told during his trial were the same as the lies that he told when he was 15. It was a gang made me do it.
Not content with that murder, you went on to attempt to murder another man. I'm satisfied that had that man not been so brave and strong enough, you would have murdered him too, as you had before. You are a highly dangerous young man.
If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.